My name's Rohan Manuel. I'm currently the project manager for a company called Work Healthy Australia. And in that capacity, I'm looking after all things IT. So Work Healthy Australia is an Australian-based company specialising in health. The main differentiator between this company and other health companies is it does proactive health. So it does things like chiro and physio and delivering health to people ahead of an injury with a view to try to reduce workplace injuries. In addition to that, it does work quite closely with organisations to look at risk and to reduce all risks associated with health. And the main industries that we target are the meat sectors and rural sectors and the industries in those areas. It's actually quite significant. IT is, the core to the business in that all of the metadata that's collected at our client sites are done so on a custom created application. That data is then brought back securely to site where it's then interpreted, used to generate reporting, and has a degree of analytics applied to it. So my role, and I've only just started with the organisation, but I've got a dual role. So one is to look after all things IT, and specifically to look after the application landscape, hardening the environment and reducing risk. The other part is on strategy. So both business and IT strategy, and to look at how we can grow the organisation and what opportunities exist both from an IT perspective and a commercial perspective. I've actually been using ManageEngine since 2021, and I've used ManageEngine in health as well as transport and logistics and construction. And whilst the industries are different, the problems are similar. Certainly in, from a ManageEngine perspective, I've used Services Plus, I've used Op Manager, and I've used Endpoint Central. And all of these were used to tackle similar issues. The ManageEngine solution was much more cost effective, but also simpler to drive, which meant that the staff were able to understand it in a more rapid timeline and also to work with it. In addition to that, one of the things that I liked most was the fact that in addition to being able to trial the product, when we went down the path of procurement, we had somebody walk us through and also provide technical resources both remotely and on site to help set the product to work, but also to give staff tutoring and mentoring so that they could drive the product well. And I think that's a missing gap with a lot of products where somebody will sell you a product and then you have to unwrap it and use it. Whereas this one, it was a completely, a nice sort of process all the way through. And then the other one is Endpoint Central. And this one was actually quite useful where I had an organization that had a on-prem data center and there was around about 300 odd servers. A number of them were running 2012, which is an old redundant operating system. Now, the organization was heavily into risk and compliance, but was also risk adverse. So these older devices were sitting around forever and a day, and they should have been patched and supported by SCCM. However, that product failed, and the expertise to drive that product also left the organization. So when I came into that organization, I had a perfect storm where I had a lot of old product and an organization that was risk adverse, but also had a real problem to solve. And with Endpoint Central, once again, it was a very easy product to demo, and then a very easy product to then implement. And I guess with the support, it made it even easier to train people and upskill people, which then meant that we're able to target our server fleet, roll out agents to get some real-time metrics on what patches they had, what sort of capacity they had, and then it helped us to understand our environment, which was not documented. And whilst it should have been, that's one of the bugbears with IT, where typically the people that build stuff, they do a great job of building, but they do a horrendous job of documenting. So this actually helped mature our documentation, because it provided data on the construct of our servers, the patch level of our servers, and that combined with Op Manager gave us some really good metrics on what we were dealing with, which allowed us to take a very targeted approach, pinpoint the highest risk, and start to take action. I'm actually very impressed. Traditionally, I've worked for a number of different organizations or worked with a number of different organizations. And typically you get a product and then you're left to implement and to get the most out of it. With ManageEngine, it's different in that the staff are actually willing to help you solve problems. And yes, the product's great, but it's also the additional support that I find extremely good. Having people that you can send a message to at any time of the day, having them respond back, having them be able to remote, having them physically be able to come on site and workshop options and solutions, I think is great. And also having that consistency across the platform. So every single product that I've used so far, it's always been the same approach, the same sort of methodology, the same sort of deliverables, and the same result, where it's at the end of the day, I've walked away going, you know what, value for money. And ultimately, in the organizations that I go into, when I go back to the business, I need to show results. With ManageEngine, it's actually very easy to show a result. There's an expenditure for a product, there's an implementation for the product, and there's a tangible result. So with Endpoint Central, we did set up a number of workflows to push out patching, to streamline patch management. We were running off a N-1 type principle, and previously using SCCM, it would take forever and a day to get up to a point where we could actually run tests, check off results, and then once a product had been bedded down, then put into production. But with Endpoint Central, that became a much easier path. And also, we were able to automate the patch management of the metal itself, which was something that we couldn't achieve with the Windows-based product, because it was just targeting the Windows OS. So that meant that we didn't have people going out and physically patching devices. It streamlined our workflow in terms of the work that they needed to do. It also standardized the workflow as to what needed to happen for patch management, which ended up in a much better result. So overall, it was a very nice tool where we could choose just how deeply we wanted to step into our environment. For me, I've used ManageEngine in a number of different organizations. It's always been a tool that's come in and assisted me. The product, the people, and the processes have all benefited me. And it's one of the few products that I can actually safely say that I would actually recommend it to anybody in any industry. Certainly the industries that I've worked in, but anywhere where technology is being utilized and where you've got an environment that performance matters, yes, I would recommend this product.